Right. So I'll start sharing my screen right now so that we'll get started. So I hope you have your coding environment set up because we are going to do some hands-on today. So if you can see what's on my screen right now, just unmute and say hi. Okay. Okay. So let's proceed. So our focus today is on data types, variables, operators, and I/O in Python. I/O is just input and output, right? So these are the lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand variables and how to declare them in Python. So at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to identify and use basic data types, strings, numbers, and booleans. And you should be able to perform basic arithmetic operations using operators. You should be able to use comparison operators to evaluate conditions. You should be able to write simple Python programs combining variables, data types, and operators. And then at the end of this lesson also, you should be able to understand comments and use them effectively. Right. So what are variables? Now, you are going to use variables a lot. Did I hear a sound? Okay, sorry. So variables are like labeled containers that store data in a program. So they allow you to save and manipulate values. They allow you to store data, right? So you use variables a lot. So what do I mean by variables? Imagine you have a container containing Gary, and then you take a plaster, you take paper, you write Gary, and you label the container. The label you have put on the container is the variable, right? That's the variable. That's the variable name, rather. That's the variable name. Now, the stuffs inside the Gary container is known as the value or the data that the variable is holding. So how do we create variables in Python? You just write the variable name, then you put the value. You write the variable name and you put value. Now, identifiers. In Python, an identifier is a name used to identify a variable, function, class, module, or any other object within your code. Alright, so like for instance, the name of a variable actually is an identifier. So an identifier is just a name for a variable, function, class, or module. Then a variable, so like I said, the variable name is an identifier. Now there are rules and conventions when choosing an identifier. There are rules you should follow. Then you start a variable name with a letter or an underscore. You cannot start a variable name with a number or anything else. You can only start with a letter or an underscore. You know what I mean by underscore? This minus sign that is under, not in the middle. So and then you can use letters, you can use numbers, you can use underscores in your variable names or in your identifier names. Any form of identifier, you can use letters, you can use numbers, you can use underscores. Now, identifier cannot contain any special symbol apart from underscores. You cannot use star, hash, at, whatever. You can only use underscore. That's the only symbol allowed. You, in the course of this class, you understand that by the time we are coding. Now, trying to find my mouse, okay? Let me get my highlighter now. So identifiers are case sensitive. What do I mean by that? It means the identifier you choose for a particular variable or function or whatever, you must be very careful using the case, right? Whether lowercase, uppercase, or title case, whatever case you're using. So now age written in full capital letters is different from age starting with capital letter and the rest small, and it's different from this age in small letters only. Then you use meaningful identifiers. This is not a rule actually, you won't get an error for doing this. So but it's just ideal, right? It is a convention. So we use something like num for number instead of just using n for number, so that it will be readable and understandable. Then you avoid Python keywords. So what are Python keywords? Python keywords are reserved keywords in Python that you cannot use as identifiers. Like print, for instance, is a Python keyword. If we have many of them, I'll show you how to check all the Python keywords available so you can avoid them. There's a way you can check it. Okay. Now, comments. What do you mean by comments in Python? Well, comments are comments actually. So comments are used to add explanatory notes within the code, making it more understandable for humans. So when you write your code, maybe you want to explain to someone, you use comments to make it understandable, because not everyone understands codes, right? If you are not a developer, if you are not a coder, you might not understand. So you are the only one that understands your codes, and maybe other developers, right? But then at times again, when you are working in a dev job, you work with teams. So it is good to use comments so that you make your code understandable to others that are going to use it. Maybe the technical writer, blah blah blah. They should be able to understand your code. Now comments are used to make your code understandable to other developers or you, when you have to come back to a portion of your code. You can also use comments to prevent some part of your code from being executed while debugging. Yes, you can use comments for debugging. So you will see that pretty soon at the time we start coding. Alright, so we have different types of comments. We have single line comments. So single line comment is made by using the hash symbol. So when you put the hash symbol, everything after the hash symbol will not be printed, will not be executed by the Python interpreter. So for instance, this is a single line comment, will not be executed by the interpreter. And this is an inline comment, will not be executed. Now we also have multi-line comments, which are also known as block comments. Well, you can use hash to do that because Python does not actually have a dedicated syntax for multi-line comments. Like some other languages do have a dedicated syntax for it, but then Python does not have. So you can just use hash for it. But then there's another way you can do it. There's another way you can do it, which is in our next slide. Doc strings. Now, doc strings, also known as documentation strings, these are a special type of multi-line comments used to document modules. This is another way I said you can use to do your multi-line comments, right? You can use them to document functions, classes, and methods. Now, they are enclosed in triple quotes. So you put triple quotes at the start and at the end. So unlike regular comments, now, doc strings can be accessed at runtime. Now, your regular comments will not be executed at all. It will not be accessed by the interpreter. But doc strings can be accessed. That's why it is different, right? It is not actually a comment by default. It is meant for documentation. But you can use it for commenting also. So, for instance, this is a block comment. Now, this is actually a doc string in action. It is for documenting this function actually. So data types. So data types, we have different data types in Python. Today we are going to discuss three. Now we have the primitive data types and the non-primitive data types. The primitive ones are the basic ones, which are these three: strings, numbers, and booleans. Strings, numbers, and booleans. Right? So these are the three primitive data types. The other ones that are actually derived from these: lists, dictionaries, those ones are non-primitive. And they can also be regarded to as data structures, not actually data type, so to say. Now to check the data type, you can use the type function. We are going to do this also. You can use the type function to check it. Check your data type. Right? Now, what are strings? Strings are sequence of characters enclosed in single or double quotes. So like name, Tolu, XYZ. Those are strings. Now, strings actually just means a set of characters, a sequence of characters, like ABC, XYZ. So that's what strings are. So any data type that is not a number or that is not a boolean, it must be a string, right? Because those are the three major types of data types you have in Python. Now, what are the things you can do with strings? The operations you can carry out on strings. We can do concatenation, which is also known as addition of strings. It is just like addition of strings. So now concatenation joins two or more strings together to form a new longer string. For instance, if you have a string hello and you have another one word, if you use plus sign. Now plus sign is used for concatenating string. Remember I said it's concatenation is known as addition. So now this instruction here means to join this string to this other one, but this double quotes that we have here is to enclose the space, because whenever you are concatenating there won't be space, it will just join it together. By the time we start coding, you understand that better. So just know that concatenation is one of the operations. Then we have repetition, that's multiplication of strings. So if you have this string message, which is Python, this is the variable name, right? This Python is the string which is stored inside this variable called message. So this Python here, if you put message times 3, so it will repeat this Python 3 times. Python, Python, Python. Slicing, you can also slice strings. You can slice strings. So this operator allows you to extract a substring from a given string using indices. Because we said string is a sequence of characters, right? So it means they are arranged orderly. They have index. It has indices rather. So we have, it starts actually from 0. So this first letter will be 0. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 actually. Right? It starts from 0. So if it is 11 characters, that will be 10, because it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you print my string and then you put this 0 in the square bracket, it means print the character that is in the 0th index, which is the first character here, which is P. So the answer, the output will be P, right? Then you can use you can place start and stop, right? You can start printing from a particular index and stop at a particular index. So you start from 2 and you end at 6. So where's the 2? 2 will be 0 and will be O rather, not 0. Then 6 will be 3, 4, 5, 6 M. Now it will end just before you get to the next one. So if you see this is a 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will end at 5. And then you can count steps also. You can count steps. Okay, you can count steps. So you can start from 2, end at 6, but then you can be skipping 2 steps. We will try that by the time we enter our coding environment. Then membership, you can check the membership of a string. You can check the membership of a string. So if you have this string hello word, you can to check if hello is there, you can just say print hello in string. In is to check for membership, right? In is to check for membership, and the output will be true because hello is inside this string. And you can check if Python is present here. Okay. Not in is to check if it is not there. So these what do we call this now? Exclamation mark, right? This exclamation mark is there. So if you say not in exclamation mark not in string, now that is not true. If it is true, it means it is not in string, but if it is false, it means it is here. Then you can compare strings also. If you say your string 1 is apple, your string 2 is banana, but what it will compare is the length, right? It will compare the length based on the lexicographical or alphabetical order using ASCII values. There's what we call ASCII values. I can get a kind of just resource for you to check on that, or you can just search it ASCII value and try to eat just a kind of a set of characters that exist in a particular maybe vocabulary. This ASCII is like a kind of vocabulary. Like you have the English vocabulary, this ASCII is a set of characters that exist there. Now, this equal is a variable, and the instruction there is to check whether this first one is equal to this, right? To check whether this first string is equal to this second one. Now then is smaller. This is to check whether this is lesser than this. Alright, string formatting. Now string formatting allows you to insert any value into string. Normally if you want to insert other values inside strings, Python will not allow you to do that. But you can use string formatting, or you convert by casting. Convert by casting. Now length is used to check the number of characters in a string. Length is used to check the number of characters in a string. So if you print length Python now, it will give you the output of that. It will give you the output of that. So casting. Now, like I said earlier, if you don't want to use string formatting, you can do what we call casting. I understand that all this may seem complicated at the moment, and we just let me see how many slides do we have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. So maybe we'll just after explaining this casting, we'll get into our VS Code and start working, so that I will not bore you with too much talk. So, all right. Now, casting, also known as type conversion, refers to the process of converting a value from one type to another. So you can convert from a string to an integer, from an integer to a string, and so on. Right? So let's get to our coding environment now. Start doing something. So right now I want you to open your coding environment, or set up your coding environment. Okay. So if your coding environment is set up, say hi. Okay, so others, please let's know if your coding environment is set up. Zipporah, Temitering, is your coding environment set up? Temitering, are you still on board? Zipporah, are you on board? Okay, so Temitering is set. Okay, so every one of us is set. So if you are using Visual Studio Code now, I want you to do something quickly. Create a folder in your desktop. Just you can press Ctrl Shift N, and then you can name it my Python folder. Okay. So have you done that? You can unmute briefly and just say yes if you have created the folder. So you name the folder my Python folder. But if you are using your smartphone, just open your PyDroid. Just open your PyDroid. You don't need to create a folder. You will see a new tab there, a new file tab. So I'm in my VS Code 2 now. But no, I don't want to do it like this. I want to open from that folder straight. So I'm going to open this folder with VS Code. Let me close this. Sorry. Okay. All right. So I'm going to open this folder with VS Code. I click Show More Options. So I'll click Open with Code. So it's going to open in VS Code directly. So I'll click Yes, I trust the authors. It's just asking me if the folder is safe. So it does not contain any malicious stuff. So you can click here to create a new file. A new file. You want to create a new Python file. You want to create it. So, sorry, my background is noisy. Where did you get from now? I've given you one the other time. You are making us and disturbing us. Anna, is the car in school? School somewhere. Just go somewhere together. Don't go to our daddy. Just if you are going home. Just take her. Please, the brother. When I'm done, I'll give you the video. I'll buy this thing for you. Okay. I'm sorry for the YouTube break. I have to take care of background noises. So, like I said, so create a folder and open it in VS Code now, and then create a new file. Let's call it main. Let's call it main.py. Okay. So main.py. I hope you guys are following. Please let me know that you're following. I don't want to be the only one going. I want to be sure that I'm carrying everyone along. So let me know if you are following. Okay, all right. So the first thing we talked about is variables. All right. So the first thing we talked about is variables. So to create a variable, like I said, you enter the variable name and then you use equals to, and then you enter the data or the value. So let's say I want to create a variable called name. So you write name equals, then you write the content of the variable. Remember that variable is a container, and then it has to have a content, right? So let's say what I want to put inside name is Lawrence. Now, if I want to put Lawrence here, I'm not just going to write Lawrence like this, because Python does not understand what I'm trying to say here. If you highlight it, it says Lawrence is not defined. What it means by Lawrence is not defined is that it does not understand what type of data it is. So I need to let it know that it is a string, right? So what do I need to do? I just surround it let me surround it with quotes. I surround it with quotes so that it understands that this is a string, right? Now if I print, now print is for displaying stuff on the screen. So if I print, I want to print type name. Now remember that this name is a variable, right? And what is the content inside the variable is Lawrence, a string. Now if I print the type of name, it will tell me what type of data this name is. So if I run it now, I'm going to get an output of class string. This is the output, class string. So it's telling me that this variable is a string, str, string. It's telling me that it is a string, right? So what if I change the content of this to 1, 2, 3, 4? Now it's going to tell me that this is class int. Now int refers to integers, right? That's whole numbers. So what if I just replace this with what if I just change it a bit and say 0.45? If I run this, it's going to say class floats, meaning that it's a floating point. It's a floating point. Right. Okay. Now, what happens if I reassign name? If I enter name equals to Parker. Let me put this in quotes. Sorry, my quotes are working the wrong way. I don't know. Okay. I say Parker. Maybe name of a person. If I run it now, let me clear off this stuff so that you understand what I'm saying. If I run it, so you see, not giving me my oh, sorry. Now I've just reassigned the variable. I've reassigned Parker to that name variable. So I have to reprint it if I want it to show. I have to print it, because if you don't use the print statement, you are not going to see anything displayed. The print statement is used for displaying our stuff on the screen. If I print name now I don't have to put the quotes. Why? Because it is now a variable. It is not a string, right? I want to print this variable name. Now the reason why I don't have to put quotes is because this name is already defined. It's defined as this string, Parker. So I'll just run it and it will just show me Parker. Now what happens along from here to here is that whenever you reassign a variable, it will use the latest value. It will override the previous value, because Python executes line by line, like I said. So it's first, what Python does is that at this line it knows that name is 1234.45. So it goes on, and then when it comes here, if you print at this point, it's going to be 1234.45. But then when you get to this point and you have changed the name, so it's going to change it. And then when you print it, you get this value, right? You get this value. Okay. Sorry, just want to change my theme. Let me change my theme to light mode. Okay. So let me also increase my font a bit, maybe because some of the on-ground people are complaining of not seeing the stuff. Let me go to settings. Let me increase the font to like maybe 18. So okay, so it's now 18. It's bigger now. So it's bigger now. Okay. So now remember I said the other time that variable names can only contain numbers, underscore and letters. What if I try to use this minus sign to start the variable name? What's going to happen? Name equals to, let me write Caleb. Okay, now let me print name. Okay, let me put this stuff there. Let me run it and see. I'm probably going to get an error. Alright, so it says syntax error. Remember we said syntax error is when the structure is not correct, right? So you cannot assign to expression here. Maybe you meant this. Now Python does not understand what we meant, right? Does not understand what we meant. Okay, what if I use star again and still run it? We are still going to get an error like that. You can still going to get an error. But now, what if I use an underscore? Underscore. If I use an underscore now, so as the name of my variable, underscore name. Let me clear my terminal and then let me rerun. So it's going to print out correctly, because you can use underscores to start. And even if you use a number to start, let's say I use one name and then I use one here also, we are printing the same. Now if I use a number to start, you see it's already showing an error, because you can't start with a number, you can only start with underscore. You can only start with underscore or letter. Underscore or letter. So I think we understand that. But you can put number elsewhere, right? You can put number elsewhere. You can put number elsewhere. So for instance, you can put name 1. So if you run it, you get it printed. It gets printed here. So because you can put numbers elsewhere in your code, you can put numbers elsewhere. Okay. Now what happens when you want to write a compound word? Let's say you want to write first name now. Now if you want it to be readable, you will not want to write it like this. But if you write it like this, Python will understand, right? Python will understand. But if you want to make it readable, it is advisable that you write like this. Yeah, first name equals to John. If you print first name, you print it. So if you print it, you have it John, right? You have it as John, correctly printed. Okay. So this is what we actually call snake case. Are we together? Sorry, can't hear your response. Are we together? Hello everyone, are we together?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. So like I said, it is advisable that you use it like this. This is what we call snake case. Or if you don't want to use it like that, if you are not comfortable with that, you can make the first letter of the second one capital, so to distinguish it. Or you make the first letter of all of them to be capital. All of these are going to work fine. But remember, when you want to print it, you use the same case you used, right? Use the same case. Okay, somebody here from the physical class just asked that, can't we put space? Remember I said you cannot use any other character apart from the underscore. Space itself is a character, space bar. Space bar is a character. So if you use space like this and you try to print it, let me enter it first. First space name. Or don't you, let me not even print it. Let's see what it says here. So see false is not defined, and then the statements must be separated by new lines. It's just not going to understand, right? It's going to be an error because you cannot use space. Space itself is a character, so you can't use it in variable names. You cannot use space in variable names. You cannot use space. You can only use letters, numbers, and underscores. So if you want to separate two words, just write. This is the one I prefer to use. I use underscores to separate, even if it is 3 words, maybe father-in-law. So, I know you are used to the hyphen sign in English, but please, in Python, you can't use that as variable names, right? You can't use that. But you can use this, it will work fine. Father-in-law equals to Jethro. Maybe for Moses father-in-law is Jethro. So, okay. All right. So, good. So now this will work fine. There will be no error. If you ask it to print father-in-law, it's going to work very fine. So it's printed. So you should use this. It is called snake case. Snake case. So using underscores to separate words is called snake case. Now remember I said again that you cannot use keywords as variable names. If you try to use if, you are going to get an error. If equals to Peter, you're going to get an error. Okay, you're going to get an error. So you can't use if is a keyword. Now, how do you know the list of keywords in Python? You are going to do what we call, you import a module called keyword, right? We'll talk about modules later on, but you can just try to memorize this. So the first thing is to import. So like I said, VS Code, it will suggest things for you automatically. So import keyword, not keyboard, keyword. So I've imported keyword. Now, importing means to bring a particular library or a particular bunch of code into your code. That's what import means, right? So that's what import means. So to bring a portion of code, yeah, that's what import means. So now, when you have imported keyword, you are now going to print. Now we are going to print keyword dot kw list. So this is how you do it. It's going to print all the available keywords in Python for you. So we print it. You're going to get. So these are all the keywords in Python: false, none, true, and, as that, async, await. All these are the keywords in Python. You cannot use any of them as variable names. You get an error. You get an error if you try that. Okay. Now, there is what we call simultaneous assignment. You can assign multiple variables on a single line, right? If I say A, B, C now equals 1, 2, 3. This is going to assign the value 1 to A, 2 to B, and 3 to C. So let me try to print A and B. Print A, and let me also print B. So let's run this and see. So you see it prints 1 and 2. It prints 1 and 2. It print 1 and 2. Okay. Yeah. So let's see, what else did we talk about in our lesson? Okay, trying to see. Now comments. Let's quickly explore comments now. So remember, you use hash sign for comments. If you write this is a comment. Now, if you enter, now name equals to hello. Name equals to hello. So if you say print, if you try to print name, it will work correctly, right? Now, for you to understand what I'm trying to say now, if you remove this hash symbol here and you try to run the code, you get an error. Why? Because Python reads code line by line. Again, I'll say it. So it first reads this. This is a comment. It's trying to understand, okay, what are you trying to say in this place? Right? That's what Python is trying to say. What are you trying to say in this place? It does not understand. But when you put this hash, you are telling Python that, okay, this is a comment. Ignore everything you see on this line. Everything you see on this line from here, ignore it. So start reading from the next line. So it starts reading from here. So that is how to prevent some parts. So let's say now you want to continue coding here and you don't want these two lines to run. Remember, there is also there's block comment. So that's triple quotes. So if you use triple quotes now, and you run the code, let me clear terminal first, and you run the code, you see that nothing will be displayed because I have told Python that all these stuffs are what? Are comments. Right. So, but now if I try to print something after that block, if I try to print game, so it will execute correctly and print, but ignore all these ones because all these ones are comments. They are comments, right? They are comments. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. So let's do strings concatenation now. We talked about that also, concatenation of strings. So if I have a string, two strings now. First name equals Lawrence. Second name equals Adetunji. Okay. Now if I want to join these two together, what I'll just do is say first name plus second name. By default, VS Code will show you some variables you have saved so that you can easily access them. So now I've concatenated these two, but this will actually not do anything on the terminal because I've not asked it to print. If you want it to be shown on the terminal, you just have to, number one, you assign this to a variable. Let's give this to a variable called together. Together equals to this. Okay. So now if I print together, and I run it, so it's going to show Lawrence Adetunji. Remember I said concatenation will join those two words together without putting anything in between. It will just take this Lawrence and put the Adetunji there, straight away like that. If you want to have space there, you just have to concatenate a string, which is space. Remember that space is also a string actually. because string is a sequence of characters, and space is regarded as a character in programming languages, right? It's a character. So if I had this character space and I print this together again, you know, I've reassigned this variable as this. I joined first name together with the space, together with the second name, and if I run it now, let me run it. So it's going to have it with space now. It has space there now. It has space there now. So that's how to concatenate strings. That's how to concatenate strings. Well, you can also do this multiplication of strings. Okay, if I say multiply equals to, let me use one of our strings here, equals to first name, no quotes now, because I've saved it in a variable. I can use first name star 3, meaning that I'm multiplying first name by 3. I'm going to repeat first name 3 times. So if I run it, if I run this, let me comment this out so that this place, so that it will not be. Let me comment this first print so that it will not execute it. Okay. So now, let me print multiply now. Sorry. Okay, this is multiply. So let me print multiply. So it says Lawrence, Lawrence, Lawrence. So it's multiplied it 3 times. 3 times. 3 times. Listen. Okay. Now, someone here also asked, okay, if it is numbers. We'll start working with numbers, actually. But we want to just understand how to work with strings. Numbers work differently. They work like just in mathematics, the way they work in mathematics. So you can use Python as a mathematical calculator. But just wait, let's just talk about strings first. Let's talk about strings now, and then we'll focus on numbers later. All right. So let me remove all this. Let me remove all this now. Okay. So let's do this string slicing. This string slicing. And then we'll just move to numbers for today. So let's do string slicing. So if I have my string equals Python is fun, right? Now remember I said these have indexes, right? They have indices. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this T is 2, H is 3, and like that, like that. So remember that the space also is part of it, right? So if I count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 is space, actually. So if I ask you to print from 6 to 8, you see what it's going to print? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me print from 6 to 10 now. Let me slice it from 6 to 10. So I'm going to print my string, right? And then I'll put square brackets. This square bracket is what we use for slicing string. So I will now put the start. Now I want it to start from, what did I say again? Is it 8? Okay, 6 to 10. So 6, then. Now if I want it to end by 10, I'll put 11, because it will end just before the last index. So let's run that. So you see, it prints space is, then up to this F. So you can slice strings like that. So again, if you want to if you want it to count steps, right, you can just put 2, meaning that it will skip 2 steps. So if you rerun this now, you get SF, because it counts just, it starts from 6, takes space, then it skips 2, and goes to space again, then it skips 2 again, and you ask it to end by at 11. So it's going to just count SF. This, it will skip this, count S, skip this, and count F. So that's string slicing. Now let's start working with numbers. in Python, we have three major types of numbers. We have integers, we have floating points, and we have complex numbers. So now, let me print type of different numbers. Okay, let me copy this. We are going to use 3 as an example. Okay, now the first type I want to print is 34. Now the next one I'll print, I'm having some series of sound. What's going on? Okay, so if I print type 0.5 and then type, now this 0.5 is a decimal number, it's called floating point, and then if I print 2 plus 3j, this complex number, so let's run it. It's going to tell us the difference. First I want to clear this terminal, then I'll run it. So here we have class integer, floating point numbers, and complex. So the first one is an integer, this is a floating point, this is a complex number. Okay, now let's look at the different operations we can do on numbers in Python. So we can add, we can subtract, we can do all those. So if you want to add, just use plus, subtraction is minus. So if I say print, remember, if you just say 2 plus 3, you are not going to have anything printed because you only asked it to add. Actually, Python will go ahead to add this, but it will not print anything because you did not ask it to do anything. It will just run, it won't show anything. No errors because it has actually done the calculation and saved it. Okay. So let's assume that I store this in a variable. A equals to 2 plus 3. Right? And if I ask you to print A, remember that our A is now what? The value of 2 added to 3. So if I input that and I run it, so I get 5. Okay. In the same vein, if you use times, it's going to give us 6. That gives 6. Okay. If you use minus, that would be a minus 1. It would be a minus 1. So also, now you can raise it to the power. Now to raise to power, you use double star, right? Double asterisk. So it will raise it to the power of 3. 2 raised to the power of 3 should be 8. Should be what? Yeah, 8. Yeah. 8. Should be 8. So then if you want to divide also, let me use 6 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3, that's 2.0. Now, division will always return a floating point number, a decimal number by default. If you don't want it to do that, you do what we call floor division. That's double slash to do floor division. So it's going to give us 6. No, 2 rather. It's going to take the whole number part of your division only. Now, what if you divide something that has a remainder like 5? If you run it, you get 1. Because 6 divided by 5 is 1, remainder 1 now. So, but if you want to get your remainder, actually, let me do something like 7. 7 divided by 5 is 1 remainder 2. So if I divide it, let me first divide it. I'm going to get 1. But if I want the remainder to be displayed, I will, instead of using this double slash, I will use the percent sign. And that's what we call modulo. We call that modulo. So if you run it, you're going to get 2. Because that's the remainder when you divide. That's the remainder when you divide. Now what happens when you have different things to do, different operations at a time? If you say 7 plus 3 times 2. Now normally you think it will run like this, 7 plus 3, 10 times 2. That's 20. No, that's not what it's going to do. What it's going to do is it will multiply first, then add this 7. Because Python follows the BODMAS rule, so it does 13. But if you want it to do this addition first, you just have to put this inside parentheses. So it's going to do the addition first. That's 10 times 2, that's 20. It's going to do 20. So that's it. That's how to do it. You might want to ask that, what if you want to do square root? Well, there's no straight way to do it like that. You can't do it straight like that. You have to import a module for that. We'll explore that later on. But right now we have explored numbers. Today we have explored our variables. So now, let's see if we can do some exercises. Okay. Let's try some exercises here. Okay. Okay, not this. Now, let me create a program to greet anybody that wants to use the system. So I can say name equals to, or let me just say user. User equals to Lawrence. Then I can say print. Now if I want to write welcome, I want you guys to talk now. I want class participation now. If I want to write welcome in the what do we call it now? If I want to write welcome in this print statement, if I want to write welcome, so how am I going to write it? I want someone to just unmute and talk. Anyone? Will I just write welcome like that straight away? Anyone? I'm not here. I can't hear our responses. I can't hear our responses. God. Temitope and Damilare, are we actually active? Okay, so I was asking that if I want to write welcome inside the print statement, so how will I write it? Would I just write welcome like that? Just unmute and talk. Feel free to unmute and talk. Yes? Oh, Damilare said yes. No, I can't just write it straight like that. If I'm to write welcome like this, I'll get an error. Because Python does not understand what welcome is. If I want it to understand, I have to put it inside quotes. Right? Right? So that it understands that this is a what? String. If I just write welcome straight, it will throw an error. So I write welcome so that you know that is a string. Now I want to join welcome to this Lawrence. I don't need to type Lawrence again. I will just add it to what? User. So meaning that I'm just calling this variable here. I'm calling it. So if I run it here, you say welcome Lawrence. Welcome Lawrence. It says welcome Lawrence. Right. So you can use any name here if you want. So that. Okay. Now, if you want to get input from users, you can say input, and then you put this parentheses. Just like if you want to use print, you have to use this brackets. If you want to also use input, you have to use this brackets. So input, you give a question or a prompt. You say enter your name. You can put this. So if I run this, what I'm going to get here is enter your name. And if I type Lawrence, it will take my name and save it and do nothing else. It won't do anything else because I have not asked it to work with my name. But if I put this inside a variable called name, if I put this in a variable called name and I ask it to print name and I run it, so it will first ask me to enter name. If I enter law, it's going to print law, because I asked it to print whatever the user entered as what? As name. As name. So that's how you get input from users. You can get input from users like that, and you make outputs. So right now we are going to end this class. So we're going to end this class. So because we need to have the squad leaders meeting, because our time is fast spent. We need to have the squad leaders meeting right now. So okay, yeah, I can see you put the quotes here. Actually, when I start coding in VS Code, I might not be able to see what you guys type here, so you can just unmute and speak for the moment. So the class is coming to an end now. Right now, I'm going to start the squad leaders meeting link. I'm going to start the squad leaders meeting and share the link on the group. Let's endeavor to join the 3 squad leaders we have.